I found out that one of my juniors, he was in Bangalore, 1 kilometer away from the office, and I sent him and told him that do not come out of the office until this guy picks up my call. And then he got on a call with me. Figure out how this will go 100x. And he asked me what would be the cost of shifting the business. 2-3 minutes later, I saw a message from Google Pay that I received 1 lakh in my bank. And he said, come to Bangalore in the next week. No one was talking about the actual issues of life. Who do I talk to if I get stuck? How do I get 25 people of my age to give me an advice? That discussion space was absent. Instagram, Snapchat, these apps are open 5-10 times a day. But LinkedIn is opened by an average user thrice a month. That's it. We wanted to create an interesting discussion space which is so good, so sticky, so great that you go there all the time on your own will to read something amazing. Our users say today that we spend 15 minutes on Medial and we feel that our brains are expanded.
Welcome to Skillshack Originals. This is episode number 1 where we have shot with Mr. Nikit Dwivedi. He gave us wonderful insights about his company and the way it started. Learn about entrepreneurship in Bangalore and what it takes to start a company. You'll enjoy this episode. Thank you. Welcome everyone to Skillshack Originals. Today we have with us a very esteemed guest, Mr. Nikit Dwivedi. He's the founder of Medial, and all over to you. So tell me a little bit about your childhood and what circumstance in your life eventually led you to becoming an entrepreneur.
Okay, cool. I'll start from the beginning, right?
Right.
So, my childhood was mostly spent in Maharashtra, then MP, then Kolkata. So, majority of it was in Kolkata from 3rd grade to 12th. And earlier I was in Maharashtra. So, the idea was that I was learning new languages, exploring different cultures. But I was never aware about entrepreneurship. I was someone who was very much into gaming and, reading. So, I used to read about a lot of, these writers I used to read. These people who build these platforms.
Favorite author?
Favorite author? Probably a very hard question, but maybe Bukowski or Kafka.
Okay, wonderful.
But yeah, point being that I was reading a lot,
right,
and I kept exploring things on the internet. I was very curious, right? So I used to read a lot. And there was no plan to become an entrepreneur or to start a business. It happened to me, right? It was like it was thrown upon me, right? So I'll tell you how it went. The gaming phase started and kind of died down towards then because my mom broke my computer because I used to play a lot and my boards were coming. Yeah, that happened. So I lost access to my computer. And then they said that they'll get me a new computer in 11th.
Okay.
When I score good in my boards.
Okay.
I was a very bright student in my early childhood, but then I started not giving a shit and became a bad student. And they were very scared that if I would pass my boards or not. But then I scored 90%, it was all fine and, great score. Everyone was shocked how I, did well in the exams. And in 11th, the moment I did well in my boards and came to 11th, I again stopped studying and playing games all day, right?
Okay.
And reading a lot. This time, also, since I couldn't take arts, I wanted to take arts, right? Because I wanted to go deep into literature or history, right? History was my favorite subject back in school till 10th, and then English, because history was not an option in science, so English was still there. So I kept reading, I got deeper into literature, and then things changed because there is basic literature and then there is other kind of literature, right? Like you can explore better authors, deeper authors. You can explore psychology. You can probably read stuff that will change you forever, right? Like as a student, let's say if you keep 10 students in a room, and let them grow from grade 8 to grade 12, and give access of like legendary literature to 5 of them, and don't give access to good literature to other 5 of them, you will see that these 5 who read a lot will be very different from the other 5 people, right? I think ignorance is bliss, and if you don't read, you don't get to probably understand a lot of things in life, which is good in a sense because then you don't worry, right? But when you know too much and you understand a lot, or you try to overanalyze things, if you do that, you're screwed. Most people, who know a lot or read a lot or try to naturally overthink, you'll see that they generally become sad about things in life. It's very hard for them to find happiness or, be content in life because they just, this thing comes into you that, you're never satisfied with things.
Yes.
Right? So anyway, we moved on to school and then 12th.
If you had to suggest maybe 5 books for a person in high school, what books would you suggest them?
There's no suggestion. I started with comedy. There was this book called Don Quixote. Which was this, I don't know, most people would have read. But there was a short story in ICSE and CBSE, I guess, wherein this madman used to, saw a windmill and charged it. And it's a funny book, right? It's comedy. I started with that.
Okay.
It was a very fun book, light book.
So just start reading. It doesn't
just
matter when you start.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you get into, just start reading. Don't read technical books too early, probably in your life.
Makes sense.
Until you want to become a coder and you have already figured it out. But people who figure it out that early will become prodigal coders. You can't stop them.
Yeah, exactly.
Get there.
Makes sense.
But if you're early and you're looking for things to read, I would suggest read whatever kind of literature that interests you. It can be psychology, it can be pure literature, stories, fiction. I used to read a lot of fiction back then. And then there is a set of authors which will truly screw your mind up. So I won't get into book recommendations. It never works like that. You shouldn't probably read books that someone else recommends. But
fair enough.
Explore as much as you can and just arrive at books. But yeah, the point being that let's say then 12th came and then again boards came.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, 3 months before boards, my CPU blew up.
Okay.
Right? Because of gaming too much, 12 hours, 7 hours stints. I fainted once because I was gaming for 8 hours.
You played for 7 hours a day?
12 hours a day.
12 hours a day? At some point. What do you play? What did you play for?
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty?
Yeah, Modern Warfare. We used to play in servers and it was an all India competition that we used to do.
Okay.
There were famous clans like Red and there were different clans.
What's your fondest memory from playing these games? I mean, did you take away anything from the gaming part of it?
I mean, teamwork. We used to have 2 groups. We used to play Search and Destroy. Gamers would know, right? So Search and Destroy was 2 groups set in a map, and then there was bomb that one team had to defend and one team had to blow it out, right? That location. So it was teamwork, hand-eye coordination, getting to know a lot of things. And these games also used to have a piece of history in them. For example, Black Ops series that came out.
Yes.
That was very, the story was so good that you would get intensely into it, right?
Yeah.
And then there were other games like, I'm forgetting the name of that game, but it was on the Wild West, right? So I got to know about cowboys and all these famous, notorious gangs of the Wild West. When there were horses and, taverns and cowboy era of the US. Right?
I definitely concur with you on gaming because I'm a huge fan of Hearts of Iron 4. It's a World War II oriented game, strategy game, and I've played that game a lot, and that actually piqued my interest in history. So definitely would agree with you on that. But we'll get a little bit more into your college days. Sure. So you joined KIIT, right?
Yeah.
And from your LinkedIn, it's very clearly mentioned that you started your first company, Right Order, in KIIT. So what are your experiences with Right Order? Can you tell everyone about Right Order and what is your journey through Right Order?
Sure. So I actually wanted to do, my dad had told me that get science in 11th and 12th.
Okay.
And then I'll let you do whatever you do. So my plan was to get into a English honors course, right? Because I wanted to study literature. But when I told him that I applied to 7 colleges, all English honors, got into most of them. But my mom had forced me to apply for one engineering college, just in case I don't get into the English literature college, which is very uncanny because it wouldn't happen that I would apply into 7 colleges and not get into any, right?
Yeah.
But still I applied because they were, forcing me. And the first response that came was from KIIT. And I got into it. And the reason I chose KIIT was that if I'm going to study engineering, which I don't want to study, then it has to be in a college which had good exposure and a lot of students and diversity, and which is away from home. I really wanted to move out. Right? Because
so you were staying where?
Kolkata.
So you moved from Kolkata to Bhubaneswar?
Bhubaneswar, yeah.
Okay.
So I moved to college and first year was mostly spent inside. So I think the only thing I did in first year of college was there was this society in our college called Chronicle, which was a DepSoc, so basically debating society.
Right.
So I was the first student from first year which joined the society. Usually people join societies from second year. Right. But I bunked all my classes in first year and joined Chronicle, and I was the first guy to come into the session and the last guy to leave. I was too much into it, right? I earlier went to the writing society, but I didn't find it to be good enough, so I left, and the second best option for me was Chronicle, where debates used to happen. And I think that completely again changed me for good. And till date I tell people that if you have a DepSoc in your college, go and join it, because it helps you a lot in your life in the future, right? So for example, it helps you develop your communication skills. It helps you play devil's advocate with your own thoughts. So we used to get topics, and there were 2 teams. One you had to say for the topic, and one has to justify against the topic, right? And that is crazy, dude. I mean, there are general conversations and debates, and then we used to get into weird ass shit, right? Because in Devil's Advocate, which is a format of debating, which used to happen in our college at scale, like proper competition and stuff, you would get topics like justify racism, right? And stuff like that. So it was very fun, awesome, and we used to love it, right? Like that really helped me develop as a person. And from second year onwards came the ECL era, wherein my DepSoc time went down and I started spending more time in the ECL. I wanted to join ECL in first year, but
was there any reason why you reduced the DepSoc contribution?
Yeah, I'll come to it. So basically, first year I wanted to join ECL, but the interviews were over and the team was selected. So I missed out. And then I met the head of CEO of ECL at that time, who was in fourth year, and told him that maybe I want to do something of my own. And this is my idea. And there was a second year guy who said that it won't happen, this idea is bullshit and whatever. He basically denied it. So I said fuck it. Like I went back home in that summer vacation. And I started, right? Like doing my homework, thinking about the name.
So this is right order, right?
Right order.
Yeah.
So then I thought the only thing I know is literature.
Right.
I used to write a lot by then. Because I was alone in my hostel room. With two random fucking strangers, and I got a lot of time to write. So I used to write a lot, and I thought the only thing I know is literature, and I kind of had a sense of what was going in the publishing scene back then, right? This was 2017. So that time, online literature was picking up, and people were, publishing themselves here and there, trying to approach traditional publication houses, and I knew that the success rate is 0.1% or less, right? It is very low. So for a debut author in India, there is no chance you can get published from Penguin until your father is super rich. Right?
Oh really?
Yeah. Either you pay money or you don't get published.
So it's still the case now?
Still the case. It will always be the case.
So you're saying a lot of money is involved when it comes to publishing books and everything.
So basically, if you're a good author, you'll never be selected is the bottom line, right? Very rarely, maybe your debut author makes it without money. And Penguin just decides, or some Harper just decides that okay, this book is great, we'll publish it, right? This might be the next Harry Potter. But that doesn't happen, right? So literature was fragmented and people just wanted a chance, right? And I had lived most of my life in Kolkata. I had seen culture, literature, and how those people, people in Kolkata take their culture very seriously. It's so rich. Kolkata is in no race, no corporate AI race. And people over there don't give a shit. They enjoy life. They spend time with their loved ones. They debate a lot on everything and anything.
There is a stereotype of Bengalis, right?
Right. So the stereotypes are well known, you guys know it, but the reality of Kolkata is very different. I'm not a Bengali, I've just stayed there. But that city Kolkata actually has a soul, right? So I was again very close to literature, one of the reasons being Kolkata. And I thought to myself that we have had Rabindranath Tagore who won the Nobel Prize, and then after that we have had no one. And then I started studying, right? I realized that these publishing houses, how the model works is that they are there in every country. They are in India too. And these big four publishing houses, they take authors from the West, well-known authors, and shove it down our throats. Because the literature is good, no worries in that. But in general, if you see the new age authors also, they are trying to shove the West authors down every other country, right? And sell their books. But on the contrary, they are not taking Indian authors outside India and trying to push them, even if their literature is good. You see, this is a form of literary colonialism that nobody is aware of. And it still exists, right? Very hard for an Indian author to make it outside India and do well. Because they will never support you, right? Very hard.
So why do you think that culture exists of, not promoting Indian authors?
I think it's elitism. They think that they are better. And I think that we are better.
So makes sense.
Is that right? So that is where I found a gap, and I started a self-publishing house which was enabled by tech. Wherein we decided that okay, there will be a cost, not as much as probably what it would cost with a traditional publishing house like 8-10 lakh rupees, but we will charge nominal, let's say 10 to 50k rupees, and give you services to publish your book, and you can then write anything, publish it, and the reader will decide whether the book is good or not.
Wow.
That was the idea. Instead of the editor rejecting you, let the readers reject you. If the book is not good, you'll get to know. But at least you should have a chance to publish and put it out in the market, right?
Absolutely.
That was the idea. From book one, day one, we were profitable, successful, and we kept scaling it, raised a bit of money, and by the end of graduation, the company got acquired.
So when you started the company, were you a solopreneur, as you said, or did you have a team with you?
I was alone. So I started alone. And
So how quickly did you scale from being a one-man army to multiple people?
also, I did not. For college, the 3 years of college that I operated right over in Bhubaneswar, I was alone.
Okay.
Some of my friends used to help me. There was no formal agreements or contracts or whatever.
Right.
They never used to claim that we are from the right order. But since they were very good friends, they would help me out, right? And there were a lot of juniors who used to love the project.
Okay.
And they used to help for free. So if I could today take, like in college, I used to take 50, 100 posters, give it to my juniors 5, 10, 5, 10 and tell them that spread out, go paste it everyone, and they will do it for free.
Okay.
Because they wanted to learn, they wanted to be a part of something.
Right.
And there were hardly any ventures in college which were doing well. Ours was one of the rare ones which was making money. And I used to throw parties and stuff, right? Like when we used to make money. So everyone's happy, something to do in college, right? Certificates and stuff.
Fair enough.
So that's how we did till the end of college. And then when we got to Bangalore after the acquisition, first we got funded, then we got acquired.
What was the process? How did a company get acquired? And not just that, what was the initial investment for Right Order?
Mm-hmm. So Right Order initially hadn't raised a lot of money, let's say. It was very limited, probably 15 lakhs or something.
Okay, so how did you raise the money?
I didn't raise the money. I went to an event where it was a startup event.
Okay.
Startup Odisha was very active in Bhubaneswar, and they were hosting an event in this 3-star, 5-star hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there attending that event, and at the end the host asked if someone in the audience would like to come and pitch their idea, if they're working on something. I raised my hand, went to the stage, pitched, and after that ended, the host asked me to meet someone in the backstage. I went there, and this man was one of the media tycoons of Bhubaneswar. He runs a very big media house. And he was so impressed with the idea that he decided to put in some money. So I was like, okay, cool, we can scale with the money. We really need designers, like full-time designers and stuff. So we raised that money and kept scaling. And then came COVID, right? In COVID, there was a time when everyone in India was at home, right?
Yes.
And everyone wanted to explore their passion and hobby, and a lot of writers wanted to get published in that period from 2019 to 20. Right Order shot up. We essentially were seeing a new customer every day. And a lot of authors which we hadn't seen before, like this kind of scale, right? And I failed to scale up my operations according to the load. And that is when I realized that if I don't get external help here, serious help, I won't be able to supply the demand. Right? So then someone told me about this college alum of mine who was already into the digital literature space. So like we have Wattpad in the West, there's an app in India, which was founded by my college senior who graduated 10 years before me. Right? So I never met him, but I was told by someone in some event about him, and I tried reaching out to him, but I didn't get a response, right? For the first 2-3 days. But things were so tight at my end that I really had to get to him. So my final plan was that I'll fly to Bangalore, go to his office and sit over there until he meets me.
So he was based off Bangalore?
Bangalore, yes. His company is in Bangalore. And what I did was, I found out that one of my juniors who used to stay with me in Kolkata, he was in Bangalore, 1 kilometer away from my, this guy's office. And I sent him and told him that do not come out of the office until this guy picks up my call. So he sat there, gave a dharna. Like they tried to send him away that, ask him to email over here, there. But somehow he just sat there and was like, no, ask him to get on a call with Niket. And then he got on a call with me. He asked me, what's up? Tell me whatever you have very fast because I have a meeting. And I told him in 5 minutes that this is what I'm building, I need help. We have already scaled digitally. I'm doing everything offline, publishing like real books. And this is what is happening. And he said, cool, figure out how this will go 100x and we'll talk 3 days later. I was just like, cool, take it. So this was a 4-5 minute
So in 5 minutes you were able to convince him?
No, I was not able to convince him. So he told me, figure out a plan to take this 100x. We'll have a meeting 3 days later. 3 days later was 14 November Diwali, 2020. Right? And we had another meeting of 5-6 minutes. I told him an entire plan of how this can become 100x in terms of scale. And he was like, okay, what do you need? I said that the first thing I need to do is come to Bangalore. I want to stay here, right?
But why? Why did you come to Bangalore?
So anywhere where, people start saying that you're doing good or you've established that, you're doing great, means that you're probably not learning, right? And I was not surrounded by a peer group once college was over, wherein I could learn from other people. So all I had was the internet to learn from, which I was doing from childhood. But I knew that Bangalore had the talent, the diversity and tech pool plus overall experience which can actually scale my career up, right? Like my knowledge up. So the idea was to be amongst the best of the country, and Bangalore was the Silicon Valley. So, and since he was in Bangalore, I told him that the first priority is to move the entire operations to Bangalore and then build everything over there. Since I didn't have a team,
Right.
so it was just me and one of my friends, and another would join if we actually got serious.
Right.
So with that, he said, "Cool, I'll arrange something." And he asked me what would be the cost of shifting the business, because we had a lot of books and inventory,
Right.
to Bangalore. And I told him, I don't know, maybe 50, 70K, something like that, because it was all offline transportation.
Yeah.
And he said, "Cool, I'll get back to you." And then we cut the call. And I didn't know what's happening. And then after the call, like 2-3 minutes later, I saw a message pop in from Google Pay that I received 1 lakh in my bank account.
Okay.
And it was from him. And he said, "Come to Bangalore in the next week, in 1 week." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Because I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
So first I had a dog over there, by the way. So I had to go to Kolkata first. And this is COVID, no flights, no train.
Yeah.
So I had to book a car, take my dog and all my stuff to Kolkata.
Okay.
And then arrange for transportation of all my business ops, things like books and everything, to Bangalore.
Right.
And then from Kolkata, I went to Bangalore in the next 4-5 days immediately. And I reached there, no accommodation sorted, nothing. I don't know where to live, what to do. I just reached there, right?
Okay.
And I went to the office. He was there. And he was like, "We'll meet tomorrow. This is Harivya." Like, there was this guy, office guy, right? And he gave him, this guy, that office guy, his credit card. And told him that get him whatever hostel he wants or PG he wants, and settle him up. So we went around and we found a PG which I didn't like, and then I took a 1-room PG in Zolo initially for the first month, and I was living over there. And this was a time when this guy had funded me, not acquired me.
Right.
So he gave some cash to the business to operate and scale in Bangalore. Within 2 months, he decided to acquire, and seemed like the right thing to do, because see, the idea was that Right Order would eventually go digital because scale is on the internet, right? But this guy was already 10 years ahead of me in terms of what I wanted to build. So I thought that why not join? Because then I would have an unlimited. So we had to spend to acquire an author, right? There's a cost of acquisition.
Yes.
And with him, that cost of acquisition would come down to zero because he had all the authors in India, right? He had like this 10 lakh authors. Like
so when do you think, for an entrepreneur who's scaling his business, when do you think that an entrepreneur should say, yes, this is the right time, or I should be, selling this company?
There has to be a complete logical evaluation of that, right?
Okay.
It's not that I wanted to sell the business, so I sold it.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about I wanted to scale the business 100x. Mm-hmm. And I knew without external support, this was not a VC scale business, right? Like my last business. I knew that it will scale only to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And VCs won't back it. So the best course of action was to join him because it made complete logical sense. Online literature, offline literature. His online writers would like to get published offline.
So this is Pratilipi, right?
Pratilipi, yes.
Yeah.
So the guy was Ranjit. He's the CEO of Pratilipi, who acquired eventually. And 2 months later, we had that acquisition talk, went through the acquisition. And 21st January 2021, the company got acquired officially.
So from 2021 until you started Median, what did you do in those 3 months? What happened?
So essentially, built a 40 people team, scaled operations. In my last month in the Right Order, we published 175 authors in a single month. For example, for reference, a traditional publication house can publish only 20 to 50 books in a year.
Right.
A normal generic self-publication house would do maybe 100 in a year.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing 175 a month back then. Right?
What do you think was the key to that insane amount of publications? Like what do you think that your company offered to them what the other publication houses didn't? Of course, from the USP that a lot of authors did not get recognized. Was there anything special apart from that? That why would an author choose your company?
I mean, our packages were, in terms of price and what we were delivering, the best. Right. Nobody else was delivering what we were delivering at the price point we were.
So you basically beat the competition.
Yeah, I mean, we were a very reputed publishing house after a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
It was to a point where you can't compare us with a lot of people. There were only 2 or 3 publishing houses which you would compare Right Order with and have as an alternative, right? And in most of the areas we used to win because then we had access to an ecosystem, Pratilipi ecosystem.
Right.
That was huge. That was very big, right? And then why would we want to choose someone else? And we also had a very good team, tech enabled. Most of our processes were made super efficient by tech, which reduced our TAT, time of delivery, right? Like, so let's say if a normal publication house would take 8 months to publish a book, we can probably do it in 30 days.
Right.
So the difference was large.
But
that helped us.
do you, as an entrepreneur and as a person who prides himself in being a person who works only for himself, do you feel any sense of regret by selling the company, or do you feel it was the best course of action that was taken?
So a lot of people have asked me, and while I was leaving, a lot of people were asking me why am I leaving, and how can you leave something you have built for 7 years?
Yeah.
See, I personally do not attach myself with whatever I am building. The idea is that the venture that is being built has an idea behind it, and that idea should win or scale. It doesn't matter who's building it until the idea is succeeding, right? Men might change. Tomorrow, Jeff Bezos has left Amazon, but Amazon lives, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter who is building it, who started it. Okay, you can know the story, you can know the man behind who started it. But eventually, at the end of the day, you are temporary in life. Like, you will die someday. And the idea is to build something and do whatever is required in its best interest for that venture to scale and become big. And not focus on petty things like whether you are running it or someone else is running it, or what it takes. So I have never attached myself to an idea.
What do you think of entrepreneurs who have a lot of emotional connection to their business? Do you think it's a positive thing? Do you think it's a negative thing?
I don't think so. It'll end of the day, it might harm you, because businesses have ups and downs. Startups have huge ups and downs, right?
Right.
And to handle them, you have to become what would be the right word? Not like detached, but you have to become like a rock, right? Like, it shouldn't affect you. So today something good happens. So in entrepreneurship in general, when you're doing a startup, every day is different, and one day you'll feel like the king of the world, and next day you'll feel like shit, that nothing is working out, right? And this happens every other week. So the chances of a person giving up is very high.
So how do you handle that mental kind of stress? Because with that instability of business comes a lot of mental stress. Because a lot of times entrepreneurs put everything that they've got into the business. They've invested their 100%. So with everything on the line, how does a person be able to handle those ups and downs?
Yeah, I'll tell personally what works for me. I have nothing to lose, right? From day one, see, I have a brother, right? So I know that if everything fails, he's a techie. He'll get a job which will handle my family. My parents will be okay. They'll live a comfortable life. He'll live a comfortable life. And I am a person who is okay with scaling down his entire life to try and build something all over again. So if everything fails, what will happen at max? I'll have to probably get a job for a while, which I think I won't. Or maybe I will. And do something for a while and then start again, right? So I have zero things to lose. I'll sell all the furniture at my Bangalore home, like where we are staying. Sell the TV probably, or just leave, right? Like, and figure out what's next.
That's a very insane drive, and kind of mindset.
So some people have things that bind them, maybe family responsibilities, maybe something else, maybe a loan, right?
Right.
And one of the reasons why I never like loans, at one point I had a certain amount of loan, which I paid off very easily because I had a stable thing going on with the right order. But I realized in today's world, like, if let's say there's a guy who's building something and has a loan, and tomorrow his business needs money or capital or time, and he is not able to pay his EMI, either he'll lose whatever he bought, or there'll be some case or some legal bullshit, or he'll be, so in general, like, leave entrepreneurship. Take a general person doing engineering or whatever degree, then he goes, gets a job, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80K, whatever it is. No matter what amount you get in your job, you'll always end up spending more, buying an iPhone, buying a car, and then eventually buying a house. There are things that the society has told us to accomplish, and you will keep taking EMIs, because until you have parental capital or generational capital, you won't be able to buy a flat in Bangalore for 2 crores, right? Or 1 crore. So you'll have to take an EMI. Then you will get. People are taking marriage loans nowadays because nobody has the capital. How will you save in a 40K salary? Loans are essential. They have become an unnecessary evil, right? And everyone gets into the trap. They have to. You have to give in. It's not a trap anymore. It's a necessary evil, right? And I realized it very fast after that first loan of mine. And I paid it off and I decided I'll never take a loan again. Till date, I'm debt free. No personal loan on my name. Now, what that enables me to do is, if everything goes to shit, I have zero things to focus on and build again. Right? I can again start something else. And even for people who have responsibilities like parents, etc. See, you should definitely take care of your family and figure out something in the course of your job or something else. But if it came to me, I personally think that an idea that I could bring to life, or a company that I could build, or a book that I could write, might has a small chance of having an impact on millions of people if I succeed. And if I fail, everyone fails, right? Like, who does anything extraordinary, right? Out of the box. So the chances of failure are okay. I'm okay with that because nobody will know me or nobody will give a shit about me failing. Right? Who am I? But if I succeed, so when Right Order did well, probably 30,000 authors got published. And they all have a certificate with my name on it. So kind of sort of somewhere, some people still know me, have kept in touch, and were affected by that one initiative that I took in college.
It's a very interesting point that you brought up regarding the, apart from the monetary impact that your company has on not just you and your family, the overall impact on society that the company has. So according to you, when an entrepreneur does start a company, is it important for him to keep in mind this larger, bigger picture as to what his company can contribute to society, other than just focusing on the aspect of what he can gain out of it?
I don't know. I mean, some people are driven by that, a larger cause, impact, or whatever. And some people are purely driven by wanting to have a thing to work upon or a result at it. And some people are driven by money. And in all the three cases, you can build a big company.
Fair.
And it can, as a byproduct, impact people. Or if you're building for impact as a byproduct, you'll get money.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what drives you, end result is almost always the same.
So you said that you moved to Bangalore. It was very interesting story how you moved to Bangalore. In your opinion, why should a person move to Bangalore if he wants to start a business, or should he even move to Bangalore if he wants to start a business? And what USPs does Bangalore offer to a person or an entrepreneur?
If you're building in tech, you have to be in Bangalore.
Why do you say that?
The network effects. I mean, all the VCs are here. All the tech entrepreneurs who have done very good, very well, right? Started from here. Most of them, at least 90% of them. The greatest tech talent pool of freshers and engineers in general are in Bangalore. The ecosystem here is a very enabled ecosystem, right? Like, insane how I was in Blue Tech yesterday. Someone was pitching an eVTOL startup to some random VC sitting next to me on the table.
Right.
This doesn't happen easily anywhere else, right? Like HSR, Kormangala, Indranagar, these three places in Bangalore are the hub of technical innovation. And in general, like if you want help or you want to get a job, it's so easy to get connected to people, attend events, and just meet probably someone very big so randomly in Bangalore, right? That ecosystem is unbeatable. I won't be able to put it into words, but if you stay here for 3 to 4 years, and if you're a tech guy or tech entrepreneur or want to build something in tech, you will yourself understand why. I'm not saying that things cannot be built in Delhi or Mumbai or Hyderabad or Pune. They are upcoming. Pune is upcoming. Hyderabad is upcoming. They're doing very well. Yeah, Gurgaon, and they're doing very well. Prices are low. Pollution might be higher.
It's bad.
Yeah, the roads are less congested. Probably traffic is better. Nightlife is okay, but I still think Bangalore is the best place. Given, I mean, when you focus on the tech, right? Like you'll see that no great tech innovation happens outside Bangalore as such. I mean, it does. Just that if Bangalore does 100, others will do 2, 3, 4, 5. Right.
Right. So the difference is there. It's a lot of difference. Do you think that if you had moved to say any other city, say Hyderabad, Delhi, instead of coming to Bangalore for Right Order, do you think that you would have been able to acquire the same results that you did?
I'm not sure. Maybe not. But so again, you can build a venture, even if it is tech or whatever else, in any other city. I'm just saying the chances of you getting a better result in Bangalore are higher, and the diversity is way better. Bangalore has so many things to do. Plus, people don't stop coming to Bangalore. So even today, the best of the talent flocks to Bangalore, right? If it is whether it is for a job or building something of their own, but people have to be in Bangalore, right? So that gives you an unfair advantage as a city.
So let's talk about Medial. You're wearing, of course, the shirt Medial, and I noticed that as soon as you came in. So self-branding is very important, of course. What I'd like to know is, how did you start Medial? What was the initial, push to start Medial? Did you have a team with you? And just explain your journey through Medial.
Sure. So the 3 years that post acquisition when we were building Right Order, we had to hire a lot of people, and we faced a lot of problems while hiring them. And then I was also missing a space to discuss problems which I was facing, peer-to-peer issues, right? Like, so maybe someone else would have an answer to it, and you would ideally connect with them through some network and then get an answer. But there was still a space, a gap, right? Like, which I could easily see on platforms like Twitter or Reddit or LinkedIn, especially. And I was very fed up with the entire. I had such high expectations from LinkedIn's, wall and feed. And when I saw what it had become a trophy case, right? That, okay, I achieved this.
Yes.
Then everyone would come and say congrats on. Because everyone wants to be formal, nice, good,
Yes.
and maintain a reputation over there. And no one was talking about the actual issues of life. Who do I talk to if I get stuck? Who do I take advice from? How do I get 25 people of my age to listen to my problem or, give me an advice, right?
Right.
That discussion space was absent. Zero, right? You can find small parts of it somewhere and here and there, but again, visibility is a problem. Plus, we wanted to build a conscious professional network for Gen Z and Gen A, because I know that these people, the upcoming generation, our generation, right, will be very different when it comes to being a part of the workforce. They'll be very different in general, right? So a platform has to be manufactured for them so that they can feel at home, keep coming back to the platform. I'll tell you a metric. Instagram, Snapchat, these apps are opened 5-10 times a day by an individual, right? Our age or even older. But LinkedIn is opened by an average user thrice a month. That's it.
Okay, wow.
It's that kind of a difference. Why? Because nobody goes there on their own will, right?
Yeah.
Only if you need a job, you will be active on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Otherwise, nobody gives a shit about it. Right?
Yes.
We wanted to create an interesting discussion space which is so good, so sticky, so great that you go there all the time on your own will to read something amazing and be baffled, right? Our users say today that we spend 15 minutes on Medial and we feel that our brains are expanded. It's that kind of content. And that is exactly what we wanted to build, to throw constant content at you which you love reading.
So with respect to Medial, I saw on your LinkedIn that, again, I'm sorry, but I have to use LinkedIn for now. I saw on your LinkedIn that, you closed 120K in the pre-seed round.
Right.
Can you explain the process, what went into it, and how did it feel after you closed that much money?
It's not a lot of money, but at least for building a social media platform. Social media platforms in general need a lot of cash.
Right.
And the burn is very high in the first few years. But for me, it was like, when I decided that I'll move on, I obviously got some of my mentors who are in consumer internet and who I keep in high regards to vet my idea. When I was sure that this would work out, this is probably something I should give a shot to seriously, is when I decided to move out and pursue media full time. And when I announced leaving my previous role in Right Order, leading Right Order on LinkedIn, a lot of VCs started reaching out to me, because by that time I already had a company that had gotten acquired.
Yes.
So there was some pedigree that was built and people wanted to know what I was building. Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of VCs reached out and one of them said, and this is a time when we didn't have a company, we didn't have an app. We only had an idea and a Figma prototype of what we were going to build and the vision behind it, and our team. Our team is very well experienced, like 7+ years of experience for infra, backend, front end, 4 co-founders, right? Pure tech co-founders. So when we went through these meetings, one of them said that, boss, this is super cool. We love the team. We love the idea. We would like to do your pre-seed. And I thought that the idea was that I would leave my job, everyone else will keep their jobs until the platform is built. And once it is built, then we would raise money, right, to expand. But what happened was something reverse. So we got the money initially, and then we bought the full team full-time instantly so that we can build fast.
Right.
And I think in hindsight, maybe I couldn't have realized that, but it was the right decision because we were able to build things very fast. Otherwise, media wouldn't have scaled to whatever it has scaled today.
So coming out of Right Order and then going into Medial, are there any key learnings that you took away from your journey in Right Order and you're applying them to Medial so that you don't make the same mistakes you did while you did Right Order? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, so I think biggest advantage of Right Order is that it prepared me mentally to fail. Right?
Okay.
There were many times pre-acquisition, post-acquisition that I felt that it's done. I'm done with this shit, right? Like, I give up. I don't want to do it anymore. maybe try something new, maybe try my hand, probably do a job somewhere. I never had a proper job with a peer group of colleagues to socialize with. I always had a leadership position, right? And I had to manage a team of 40 people, 20 people, 30 people all the time. And I was 21 years old. So that kind of was very heavy on my mind, right? Like it was hard to do. And I think that was one of the greatest contributions. The second thing I learned was why you should keep your team very lean and small. I am never going to hire anyone in Medial until and unless Medial is going to shut down. Like it has to be that kind of a necessity to hire a talent, or it has to be a great talented person who's moving out of some, probably somehow I'm able to convince.
But don't you think that with that kind of mentality, you would be limiting the kind of talent that you'll be coming?
No, not at all, not at all. So the idea is not to hire just so that we can build stuff and scale. Okay. The idea is to hire one person who can do the job of 15 different people, because tech talent is not service talent, right? So basically in sales, you'll have 10 salesmen, then your sales increases. Yeah. In tech, one guy can actually outbeat 15 other tech guys if he's talented enough. So our idea is now in Medial is to find that one person who's a 100x engineer, right? 10x engineer. Right. And then get them on board instead of hiring 15 engineers and making it an internal shitpot of communication hassle, right?
I mean, it's true. Too many chefs make a bad dish. Totally understand. So where do you see the future of Medial going? And how would you want Medial to play an important role when it comes to Gen Z trying to become entrepreneurs? How do you feel like I mean, as I said, for Right Outfit Contributor Society in a very unique way where you give a lot of authors a lot of publicity. So what impact on society would you want Medial to have?
So I think in the next 5 years, we see Medial as a global platform. We were never thought of building it as a India only platform. So we see it as a global alternative of the present traditional networking platform, right?
Right.
On current networks, you talk about anything regarding work and your work life. It's an ID platform, basically, right? The existing ones. Medial shall ideally become the platform for builders, innovation, intellectual stuff when it comes to professional life, right? Advice, peer group discussions, getting a job properly. Like we are trying to innovate on the jobs part eventually. We will try to innovate on the consultation part for the right kind of advice, because advice is free. Anybody will come and give you advice. But how do you get the right advice, right? So creating tech mechanisms to make that possible. And eventually when you think of work, you would ideally think of Medial as the go-to place to discuss anything regarding whatever you are trying to achieve in life.
Well, I'm sure with the mindset that you have shown me today and the audience today, you will definitely achieve those goals. My best wishes with you. The entire Skill Shack is with you. We really hope the best for you. So before we conclude, just for the audience here, could you just give us maybe, because you're able to manage your college life and corporate life, and you transition from college to corporate, if there's any entrepreneur out there who's in college and looking to start their own company, what advice would you give them?
Start ASAP. Start building. Don't think about it. Think about 5 ideas. Try to get it validated as soon as you can. Don't spend 5 months on validation. Maybe in some cases it might be okay, but the biggest problem I've seen with college students, at least back in my college, we had 18 benches. Everyone had an idea. Nobody started even a website. Nobody took the first step to build something. Right. The only difference between someone who ends up doing something, I guess, is that they start, face a problem, solve it, and then move ahead.
Right. So that's wonderful. Anyway, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yep.
It was an honor being here.
Yeah.
The entire Skill Shack is with you. We really hope that the audience here today goes back home, checks out Medial. So just for the conclusion, you could just tell the audience what your app is about, and and then we can end the podcast.
Sure. So Medial is a professional network for anyone who wants to build something, who wants an intellectual space to discuss their ideas, their problems they're facing in work life. It can be anything in the professional domain, right? So let's say there is Zepto and Zepto did something and that came in the news. If you want to discuss that, business models, innovation, the future of India, how will markets evolve? And if you want to know what people your age are thinking or working on, and if you want to see some of the coolest ideas being built in India, Medial is the place to be. We have probably more than 30, 40, 50 ideas daily put on the platform which are being validated by peers. then tech issues being solved on Medial itself, design discussions, product discussions. So till now, Bangalore has been the city, and Mumbai has been the city, and Delhi has been the city wherein startups have had access of networks and knowledge. But we want to digitize it, and we are digitizing it as of today. We have more than 25,000 users, right, active on the platform, there to help you if you have any question, or just brainstorm with you about anything and everything. And also, Medial has a AI-enabled news feed, which is hyper curated for you. So one of the parts of knowledge is that you need to stay updated, right? What's happening, who's getting funding, who's laying off, who's launching a new product, what's going on in tech and different domains, right? Medial, metaverse, crypto, whatever you might be interested in, Medial is a place which has such a strong news engine that declutters all the news from all the sources present on the internet and gives you a proper feed to scroll through and be updated with. Yeah.
So that was Niket, and this was the first episode of Skillshack Originals. Thank you all for tuning in for this week's episode. We hope to see you all next week. Peace. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Pleasure meeting you.